Howdy, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Kinetic Aesthetic, and I am your host, Germ. So, to the ladies and gentlemen, the boys and girls, and the Mr. and Lady viewing at home, I want to tell y'all thank you again for tuning in and checking us out. Now, today is Wednesday, and you know what I love to do on Wednesdays is review some stuff, and that's what we're going to do. But what we're going to do on this episode is review something that I admittedly have not watched directly. What I'm talking about is WWE's WrestleMania 42. It hailed from Las Vegas, same year as last year. And after everything that WWE has had going on over the past couple of months, honestly, over the past couple of years, it felt like this WrestleMania was a reckoning, and it left me with a lot of feelings and emotions that I need to get it out and I need to talk about it. So that's what we're going to do on this one. Now, I just want to say this first. I have been a wrestling fan basically my entire life. Like, even before I was into the NFL, I was checking for WF or WWE as it became called. I was trying to see what Chris Jericho or Jeff Hardy was doing, shit like that. But over the past, 2 years, because I'd really already lost that major interest, or at least enough to watch it weekly, even before Vince McMahon had stepped down or lost power. But it has really been over these past year and a half with, Vince fully being out, TKO, the corporate entity that bought WWE, fully taking over and letting its fang show, that I've started to really just lose the passion or love that I had. And it's something that I wanted to get into because, as the title suggests, I am a firm believer that if we are to lose staples, cultural staples, such as WWE, to just corporate greed, it would be further indication that we are closing in on a societal collapse. Some of you might find that dramatic, but after we talk along on this episode about how I've come to believe this, I think that you are going to understand where I'm coming from. Now, first off, I do want to actually just look at this WrestleMania itself and just give y'all a breakdown on how things went. Now, the biggest gripe that I'm going to have with this WrestleMania, and that you're going to hear constantly if you look at other people who talk about it, is for something called WrestleMania, there was sure as a hell not a lot of wrestling on it. You see, I don't know the exact numbers or figures. I heard them before, but there was so little wrestling on WrestleMania, and it was to the point where outside of the main event matches like Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton and CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, none of the matches went past 10 minutes. In fact, none of the matches really were longer than 8 minutes. It was just a whole collection of all these short-ass matches just so that they could spend more time on ads. And that's really the crux of what a big part of WWE's problem is right now. They've gotten away from what their actual product is, wrestling, and they've just decided to constantly shovel more and more ads to people. And it's a symptom of a greater problem in WWE that I'm going to get into later, but it just hampered what could have been a great show, because make no mistake about it, you may not have that same passion or love for WWE as you did during the Attitude Era when Stone Cold or The Rock were there, but the talent and what's in the ring right now is way better than it was all those years ago, and that is bar none. There's some of the best athletes in the world right now that are engaging in that ring right now, and honestly, a lot of them are more so on the women's side. You've got people like Io Sky, Bianca Belair just announced she's pregnant, but when she was going, she was one of the best, period. Rhea Ripley, despite all the bullshit people will try to talk about her and how her size she's lost, she's still one of the best at it. And there's so many others. And on the men's side, you got Seth Rollins, you've got Javon Evans, you've got Obafemi, again, who we're going to talk about. There's a lot to really be excited for the future if you were to just look at the pure talent and just, where they could go with the talent they have. But it's all the other shit that they have going on just with the company and with the business side of things that makes it hard, as we're going to talk about. Because first things first, like I said, all these ads and everything that they're just trying to push on us, this is a company that can never make enough money. Just to give you a further example, Cody Rhodes, who is the number one WWE star right now, he's their top guy, the biggest babyface in the company. they had a special little product that they were selling during WrestleMania weekend where people could take a tour of Cody Rhodes' bus, and get this, the price to do it was like $40,000 just to get a special WrestleMania ticket where you could take a tour of Cody Rhodes' bus. It is to the point where even the wrestlers themselves are commenting on it, talking about how insane it is that people are having to pay that much. And despite all of that, and shit, you've got CM Punk, one of the biggest stars in the company right now. Basically, his whole WrestleMania build, he stopped talking about his opponent and started focusing more on TKO and how they were just making the prices so damn high, having to diss the celebrity involvement, which we'll also get into. But it's just, this is a company that has just embraced their greedy side. You've got Mark Shapiro, who is one of the head executives. He's not as high up as Ari Emanuel, but he's definitely like top 5. He's coming out and talking about how, number one, he was the first thing I remember him coming out and saying was that Vince McMahon, the previous owner, the evil, damn ghoulish gremlin that he is, was somehow leaving money on the table by still pricing for families. And they have not played about that, because as they have taken over, as they have further entrenched their roots into things, the prices for these shows have went higher and higher, to the point where they've made it clear they don't give a fuck about the regular average fan anymore. Their model has been adopted. Their model that they've been trying to use is the UFC model, which is, we're going to price out all of these commoners, all these lowly people, and we want nothing but influence. We want celebrities. We want high earning individuals inside our buildings, inside our venues. And it's been sort of gross, because for as much shit as Vince McMahon deserves, and he really hasn't gotten enough of it yet, he still understood above all else that he worked in the professional wrestling business, and he understood the importance of making sure that families could attend. And TKO has just shown that they don't give a fuck about those families. They don't give a fuck about the average dad just trying to show his kid and create a memory for him that's going to last a lifetime. They want those young 20-somethings who are just trying to be there to show that they can afford to be there. They want people who are going to be tweeting, Instagramming, TikToking all about WWE and everything that's just going to further expose their brand. They don't give a damn about the kids anymore, which is really, really fucking weird. And so that brings me to my next issue that I have, and that is the over-involvement of celebrities. Now, celebrity involvement, especially when it comes to WrestleMania, has always been a thing. You go back to the first one, its main event featured Hulk Hogan and Ice-T just going up against Roddy Piper, and I want to say it was who was Roddy Piper? It doesn't matter. They were going up against some heels. So we've already, not Ice-T, Mr. T. We've already seen a lot of celebrity involvement when it comes to WrestleMania, but what's the problem has been with this one is that they've been getting them involved way more when it comes to the actual wrestling storylines than they needed to be. As I talked about earlier, Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton was one of the WrestleMania main event for night 1 specifically, and it is the type of main event that had no real need for some convoluted or deep-seated storyline. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton have history that goes back to when Cody Rhodes first debuted. He has been an instrumental part of this man's career ever since. Even when Cody Rhodes was leaving, Randy Orton was somebody who was in his corner, who was backing him, who I know he was able to go to for guidance and mentorship. And we've been able to see their relationship on display even more so since Cody actually returned. It's like 10 years of history. It's something that just didn't need a whole bunch of extra unnecessary elements added to it. And yet, because Ari Emanuel for some reason thinks that he can turn Pat McAfee into Sylvester Stallone, he decided that feud needed Pat McAfee to come out there and just stick his nose into it. And that has been just a symptom of a much larger problem this WrestleMania season, because TKO has been just insisting that more and more celebrities just become, that they get added, that they are just included in storylines. We've had Lil Yachty coming in and teaming up with Trick Williams, and to be honest with you, Lil Yachty's not a problem. He's actually somebody who has been a fan, who's been around. We've seen him at the shows, and even more so than that, he has fully understood what his role is. He's not trying to be the biggest part of the story. He is just, he is Lil Yachty. He is not Lil Yachty. He is Trick Williams' manager above all else, and he just knows that's his role, and I fuck with him for that. Not only that, you've had Jelly Roll, who I don't even know who the fuck Jelly Roll is. I hadn't been familiar with him before wrestling, which is crazy. And you've got Pat McAfee. And you even have IShow Speed, who is teaming up with The Vision, going up against the Usos and LA Knight. I'm not a big hater of Speed either. He has shown actual passion when it comes to really being involved in the shit that he did at WrestleMania, that jump off the fucking top rope onto Logan Paul outside. That was cool. I actually enjoyed that, so I want to give Speed his credit. Him and Lil Yachty, as it figures, the two niggas that they got involved in wrestling, they actually understood it. But when you look at some of the other people that have been getting involved just over, and not even just now, just over the past, it's just shown that TKO, they only really care about the actual celebrity involvement. They don't really give a damn about how it's going to affect the wrestling product. Just last year, in the main event of WrestleMania, you had Cody Rhodes going up against John Cena in John Cena's final, his last WrestleMania main event ever. This should have been a one-on-one story that didn't need anything else added to it. The fans are already invested and bought in. This is coming off the heels of John Cena turning heel for the first time in his career ever since he had become a big baby face. And so this is already just has so much going for it, so much intrigue, so much interest just invested into it. And yet they chose to end the match by having Travis Scott come out to his overplayed theme song that they were using last year. Fiend, 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 fiend. Now imagine that fucking chorus just over 300 times all in your ear. But he comes out and he just, for some reason, was the biggest factor into that match's ending, and it just left such a sour taste in everybody's mouth, especially when Travis Scott didn't even come back later to really blow off that storyline by having a match with John Cena or Cody Rhodes. It was another example of TKO just butting in and deciding that they needed to add their whole 2 cents to the storyline, and it did nothing but fuck up Cody Rhodes' momentum. It ruined John Cena's final run, and it just seems like they didn't learn from that lesson. Because when you bring out Pat McAfee and you have him intrude in this Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes storyline, what you're saying is that once again, you don't feel like the performers that you are paying are good enough to tell this story on their own. You don't feel like they're good enough to really get enough fan intrigue to make WrestleMania a success on its own. They feel like they needed some celebrity because that was what was going to convince some casuals to start to buy tickets. The biggest issue with the WWE right now when it comes to, and this is just when it comes to their actual products, the biggest issue they have is just that the tickets are too damn high. It's not actually the storylines, because listen, when it comes to WWE, they have diehard fans. There are fans out there that are going to support this company through thick and thin. We have went through eras and patches where we had the top star being tied to a fucking ring post and being forced to eat dog food. And yet, even still, the WWE persisted. The fans were still there. They were still showing up. And they were still caring. So for them to get to a point now where they are just alienating those same diehards who were keeping you afloat when nothing else was working, it just shows me that the people that are up there at the top that are in charge of this don't understand what they have. WWE is not a company that exists without competition. This is not the days after WCW was folded where they were the only business in town. All Elite Wrestling, which is head by Tony Khan, who is the son of the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, they are not going anywhere. Regardless of whether or not they lose their TV deal or they have any other crazy shit happen to them, which is possible considering all the crazy things going on with the Paramount deal or the merger that they're supposed to be having. But that's a whole nother video to get into. They have shown, or Tony Khan has made it very clear, he has such a passion for the wrestling business that he is not going to let this company die, especially based off the financials. I'm not even sure if they've really turned a profit yet, but he has still managed to make sure that they're not going anywhere. So I say that to say WWE is not in a position where they are infallible and there is no chance that they lose. And it's especially more so true now because once TKO has had enough of doing all this dumb shit that they're doing, raising the prices, trying to price out all the diehard fans and leave it with nothing but casuals, who's to say that if that business model just falls through, because I really do think that it will, who's to say that they're not going to sell or even worse, just shut down the WWE? We've seen it often. Honestly, I've seen it in a lot of different industries, so I can't necessarily compare it to wrestling. But when a popular or successful IP is bought by some overarching company and they end up fucking it up because they don't know what to do with it or how to properly manage it, one of the more common end goals or common outcomes of this is that they just shut it down and all of those people that work there are out of a job. That is my fear of what is going to happen to the WWE. That is my fear of what this WrestleMania has just been showing us that we are on the slow path towards. When you are putting on a 2-night extravaganza where the main point of it is supposed to be the wrestling and all of the stars that are there, and you are only showcasing them for less than 8 minutes a pop, and the only people who get more than that are the actual main event top guys, and you're spending more time on ads and just showcasing a Hulk Hogan documentary than your actual products, it shows me that we are dealing with people who don't really understand what it is that they are trying to sell. The WWE fan does not tune in because he's trying to see ads or because he's trying to see celebrities or anything of that nature. He tunes in because he is trying to see a story being told of good versus evil, of titans clashing. We wanted to see CM Punk versus Roman Reigns going for over 30 minutes, trying to tell the story that they told about two fucking titans in this industry trying to prove who is better, with all the history and animosity that is built in between the two. We wanted to see Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi, two gigantic fucking monsters just throwing each other around, suplexing each other and hitting each other with power bombs and power moves, and damn near trying to see if they could break the ring. We wanted to see that 6-man ladder match that happened on night 2 and a whole bunch of bodies colliding and hitting each other in car crashes and a whole bunch of spots being hit. We want to see a babyface against a heel in a classic dynamic, and we just want to see the good guy overcome the evil. We don't want to see the celebrities being the focus. We don't want to see a whole bunch of short-ass matches. We don't want to see a whole bunch of ads. We want to see wrestling. And I feel like that TKO is moving us away from that, and they are moving us towards something that is going to alienate the fan base and that is going to leave us with something that is just not the WWE. And if that is the case, that is going to be a bad indicator of what's to come, not only for just professional wrestling, but for our society. Because WWE is important for a lot of kids in this country and shit, for a lot of kids across the world. It is their escape. It is their first real just storytelling adventure. Can't think of a better way to describe it. And so I do feel like that if we lose WWE to this greed that the TKO, Mark Shapiro, and Ari Emanuel and them are trying to just enforce on it, we're going to lose something that has even greater value than we really realize. Because we already are struggling as a society right now as we lose more and more of these third places, of these different little spots for people to go, to congregate, to commingle, and to just have fun. But if we lose that in our entertainment world as well, we're heading down a path of no return. Everything is getting so expensive. Everything is just getting to a point that where just the regular person is priced out, and we have to find a way to really counteract that or to stop it. Because once we lose the WWE, once we lose pro wrestling, we lose our soul as a society. So yeah, that is my thoughts on WrestleMania 42 and pretty much the WWE. and everything that it's had going on around this year or so. There's a lot of stuff I haven't touched on, to be honest. There's so much that really has been going on with the company. It's been such a shift in the culture and the way they present themselves. They've had so many ups and downs. WWE has really just went through it a lot. And, it does feel like there's not just a current changing of the guard in terms of the culture of the company and the way it's ran, but also just in its talent-wise right now. You've got a lot of old guys like the CM Punks. You've got your Roman Reigns. You've got your Seth Rollins and things like that who are on the downturn of their careers almost, I want to say. I know they still have a lot to give. I don't expect Reigns or Rollins to be gone for another 5 to 6 years probably, but still, these guys are 38, going into their 40s. You've got Punk who's damn near going to be 50, if he's not already. So they're already starting to really shift towards their future in terms of the talent that they're pushing and presenting. Right now, we've got Javon Evans, we've got Trick Williams, we've got Obafemi. All three of those are niggas, by the way, which I love. And they're all being positioned as being these guys that you're going to be looking at for the next decade as the top stars of the company. You got Javon, the high flyer. Trick Williams is that charismatic, just talker, the star. And then you've got Obafemi, who's just a fucking monster and a beast. So there is a lot to be excited on that front when it comes to the actual talent and the matchups and stuff like that. We just have to hope that the business side isn't going to continue to be this shitty, continue to be this greedy and exploitative of their fans, because as I was saying earlier, I don't think the WWE is infallible at this point. I do think that if they don't play their cards right, there is a way that they could end up losing to a competitor when you have one that just has an almost infinite amount of money. So I hope that they're able to get it together. I would love to see the company that I've been following since I was a kid, continue to stand the test of time and continue to offer that same type of escape and, adventure in terms of viewership to young kids that are going to be coming up years from now. But it's not up to me. It's not up to the fans at this point. It's up to the people that are in charge of the shit, those Mark Shapiros and Ari Emanuels, to see the value of, what it is that they are presenting and what it means to those families and kids that are just choosing to go after these casuals and short-term, money fucking, I can't think of the word, just people that are willing to just spend money willy-nilly. But that is capitalism for you. That is just the way. So I don't have any expectations and I don't really have a lot of hope. But all we can do is just watch and see how things go. But that is really all I've got to say about wrestling right now, about the WWE. Again, way much more that I can do. I can definitely do a follow-up episode on this, which I might. But for now, I'm going to just leave it at this. This has been Kinetic Aesthetic. I'm your host, Germ. I want to make sure I tell you again, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, do whatever you have to do so that you are up to date on all of our content and that you never miss out. When it comes to this week's sports talk, because I know I did not release one the other day, don't worry. Thursday is when it's going to drop. With everything that's been going on this week with the draft, with the NBA playoffs, I just wanted to make sure I took a little bit more time to have some idea on what I wanted to talk about when it comes to the draft. So I'm not just, just saying shit, especially when it comes to making some predictions on what I think the Bears are going to do. So make sure that you are staying in tune for what we're going to be talking about tomorrow when it comes to that. But aside from all of that, thank you all for tuning in again. Thank you all for watching. This has been Kinetic Aesthetic. I'm your host with the mostest, Germ. I'll catch y'all tomorrow.